والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين على مر الأيام والليالي والشهور والسنين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. We continue 7:18 p.m. Wednesday, January the 30th. Like I said, it blows my mind how fast time is just flying, which agrees with Jumad al-Ula on the Hijri calendar, the first, or Jumad al-Ula, the 23rd, or the 24th night rather, 1440 after the Hijrah Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. As I explained to the brothers as I kind of went to the side, explaining the meaning of the hadith, verily Allah created Adam in his image. There was a little bit more details I wanted to give, but alhamdulillah, I think I gave the brothers what suffices them was adequate. It's a little bit more details, but like I said, when it comes to the communities, you always want to give them what's the khulas, or the summary, or the summarized, concise version of masail, of different matters. You don't want to give them in too much details. But there is a little bit more details, but like I said, when we get to those levels, as you get higher and higher in certain affairs, you'll be able to make more what they call tawassur. You'll be able to vast out in different, little bit more statements. But main thing is that you get the strongest opinion, just keep it moving. But there is a little bit more details, but alhamdulillah, I gave the brothers, inshallah, what was considered adequate. Inshallah. But just to have everyone recognize that these narrations are correct. Also, we'll talk about, maybe when I get some time, what is the narration about surah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Adam was created in the image of Allah, or Allah ta'ala will come to the people on the day of resurrection in the image of what they thought was him. And the Shaykh al-Islam has a nice refutation, and he also gives details of this word surah, image. Like, what does the word mean of image? But alhamdulillah, I think in the last narration we kind of explained and gave details of this matter of image, that it means basically the general wording, or the wording and the general meaning before the connection takes place. And the connection takes place in the context when a person mentions it, of course. And that's just to sum it up. So I need to get a little bit more details, or more unnecessary details, so we do not confuse the people. So we can stick to what we said, and like that's the mention or the meaning of the hadith, more or less. So I hope everybody understood. And like I said, when you hear the explanation of Ahl Ilm, when they mention, it's clear. It's not considered what? Confusing. Everything is confusing was the people of innovations are upon. I don't know no deviant sect out there except what they're upon is confusing, without any exception. From the Sufis, from the Ahbash, from the Ikhwanis, you'll find that everything they're upon, and you listen to what some of the statements they say and what certain of the things they do, is very contradictory and is very what? Confusing. You'll find that the aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah, that when you hear it, it's like, okay, that's a no-brainer, it's clear. When you hear the statements of the people that are upon innovation and upon deviation, those are the things that causes doubt and confusion, and they also bring about contradictions. If anybody thinks that they have something what they're confused about, then let me know. So is it clear about the masala? Everybody are we frank? Is it clear what I mentioned or what we explained? Or do you think that everyone needs a little bit more detail? Is it clear? It was clear from last class? You're not just saying that, are you? That Allah was created in the image of Ar-Rahman. He was created in the image of the Most Merciful. G. As we continue in Kitaab At-Tawheed, as we were discussing the Masail, alhamdulillah, we arrived to the last chapter, or part of the chapter. And we were still in the chapter of باب ما جاء أن سبب كفر بني آدم وتركهم دينهم الغلو في الصالحين. That the reason for the disbelief of the children of Adam and them leaving off the correct religion was them falling into extremism in regards to the righteous. We arrived to the masail, or the matters that's mentioned in the last chapter, or last part of the chapter, excuse me. I think we stopped at Ar-Rabi'ah, the fourth. That was the last part we mentioned. That was the last mas'ala. طيب, it says Ar-Rabi'ah قبول البدع مع كون الشرائع والفطر تردها. He says accepting innovations despite the shara'i', the legislations and the natural disposition of the human beings, the natural innate inclination or disposition of the human beings, rejects it. I'll say it again. Acceptance of innovations, meaning people, accepting innovation. He said, even though the shara'i' or the legislations meaning what Allah legislated to all the prophets and messengers, and the natural disposition of the human beings rejects it. They reject it. What do we mean by that, ya ma'ashal ikhwas? We said the acceptance of bid'ah, or the acceptance of innovation, you'll find that in certain cases you'll find that people actually, you'll find themselves accepting it without any hesitation, especially with people who have not built a correct foundation for themselves in the religion. For those who have not well grounded themselves in the correct manner, you'll find, like we said, they accept these innovations. They accept it with no problem. And you'll think that it is what? It is actually something good. You'll find that a lot of people will find that an innovation. Majority of people who practice newly invented matters in the religion think what they're doing is something good, or something in actuality, and it appears in certain instances to look as something acceptable and something that is good and something that will what? Bring joy or delightment to people based upon what they will see. Even though in actuality, as we know, it's not what? It's not legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. And you'll find that in actuality, what the prophets and messengers legislated, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated, of course, rejects what they are doing. And you'll find in a lot of certain instances, even the natural disposition of human beings, while also in certain instances reject innovations and innovative practices. Is that cold? Where's your pen at? Well, keep your pen, come close, come close. Come off your notebook. Be prepared. The preparation is not having your pants in your pocket. It's not that cold in here. It's not that cold, your hands are freezing. What was I saying again? No, I understand. I remember. So, number one is, we'll find that the great Imam, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, he's teaching the people a principle. Here, if you look in the Masail, it says, people accepting innovations, or the acceptance of newly invented practices, even though the legislated affair, meaning of the religion, what Allah sent down, and also the natural disposition of or nature of the human being rejects it. So number one, even though you might find somebody practicing something that, and it's what it looks like, or what it manifests, what it appears to be what? Something acceptable, or something good. You can name any innovation in certain instances, except you'll find that certain people will think that is what? Something good. For example, the Prophet ﷺ's birthday. Prophet ﷺ's birthday. Of course, for those from Ahl Sunnah, the Salafiyin, Al-Hadith, those who have well grounded themselves in knowledge to know the high magnitude or the evil or the deep evil, wickedness of these affairs, for them it's simple. Of course, they're going to reject it without any reluctancy. But keep in mind those who have not been taught the foundations of the religion properly. So when they see it, they think it's something what? what themselves is going to accept it and say, look, oh, what they're doing is nice. The Prophet ﷺ's birthday. Well, that's a good thing. What's wrong with that? You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Person that doesn't well-grounded themselves in knowledge, what we're studying now, just came to Islam, never truly learned the foundations of the religion, automatically is going to what? Think that it's something, what appears to be something what? Something good, something acceptable. What's wrong with us celebrating the Prophet ﷺ's birthday? What's wrong with that? As some people would say. Rather, this looks like there's something that's bringing the Muslims together. It's bringing a lot of people have been invited. You see all this good, so-called. See all these people are now in the street, or some called in the masjid, intermingling with men and women, and all these other matters, right? So you'll find that these affairs apparently, what it seems to be, acceptable. Even certain people, when they commit certain innovations in salat, for example, also likewise, you'll find people that pray or do an innovative type of what? Prayer. Let's just, for example, let's just say the person does, you might come in a message, you see an individual that they're praying like maybe 20 or 30 rakat straight. At the time, for example, of dhuhr, at the time it's like, what is he praying all these prayers for? He's praying and he's getting up, he's praying and he's getting up and he's praying. Person that hasn't well-grounded himself in Salafiyah, of course, when they look at it, they're going to be like, okay, what are you doing? But a person that is not, then they look at the individual, then what? They're going to think they're doing something what? Something honorable and good. Something honorable and noble. Mashallah, is a person's diligent in worship. Right or wrong? So that's what he's saying here. All you'll find, and there's a lot of innovations like this. You'll find that people are practicing something, what appears and manifests for a person that does not have knowledge, that what they're doing is acceptable and exceptional, especially in diligence of what they're doing, as far as putting forth extra effort and trying to so-called draw close to Allah. But in actuality, they're doing something that's totally what? Rejected. Something that Allah will not accept. So he's saying you'll find that a lot of people accept innovations. Even, for example, even with some of the Muslims, even with the guy who's Sufi who came into the masjid the other day, and you'll find that due to his lack of knowledge, you can find he was ignorant in so many principles of his religion. Based upon the fact, you'll find that saying, lying upon the message of Allah, as I told him, Ali Jifri lies upon the message of Allah. He had no reaction to what I said. It was just like, oh, okay. Alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, didn't I just tell you that man lies upon the message of Allah? Alayhi salatu wassalam. As the majority of the Sufis do, they come with a lot of fabricated ahadith. And that's how you'll find them practicing a lot of innovative practices in dhikr and all these different innovative practices of remembrances that they do. All because of what? Fabricated ahadith. That they what? Make up and fabricate upon Allah and His Messenger. And you'll find that they encourage their followers to practice it. So now you'll find that people who do, for example, people who are ignorant, let's just say you'll find come in the masjid, somebody saying Allah, 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 40 or 50, 60, 80 times, or let's just say 1,000 times. Hua, 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 hua. Hua, 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 hada, 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 hada. That's some of the dhikr of the Sufis, their bid'ah practices. That's why you'll find that a lot of people say they're called goofy Sufis. Because they make the Muslims look like they're goofy and they're clowns. Because it's just what you're doing. Saying hada, 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 hada. Now somebody walking in the masjid, you see him doing it, you be like, what's wrong with him? Hada, hada. Hua, 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 hua. That's why some innovations is accepted by the people, but the natural disposition, as he goes on to say, if you look at your books, it says rejects it. For a natural person, for a human being to see somebody doing like this, walking back and forth and saying, hua, 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 hua. Naturally, your natural disposition as a human being that's been what? That's going to look at that and think that's extremely strange what you're doing. You understand what I'm saying? So you'll find that he said not only you'll find the legislation what Allah sent down rejects it, also for a person's natural disposition that has not been what? Altered or affected, also will reject it. So you'll find that in both cases is what? Not only for you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rejected these different types of practices or innovative practices, whether it be in worship or whether it be the mawlid or whether it be any type of innovative practice you can think of. You'll find outwardly it looks acceptable. But if you put it on the scales of the Kitaab and Sunnah, you'll find that it's totally what? False, it's incorrect, it's invalid. Rather, you'll find, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, from the shu'm of innovations, as I said in many classes. A lot of people don't know that just because bid'ah is not only do you get the sin of it not being accepted with Allah, but you get a sin for practicing something that has not been what? Legislated. That's a major sin. A lot of people don't know that. I say, oh, this is just the fact that, my action will be accepted with Allah. Right? No. You're practicing drawing close to something, to Allah. You're drawing close to Allah by something He did not legislate. So as a result of it, you get the sin for that too. You understand? Why, everyone? Because all of the ibadat, all of the aspects of worship in the religion, also the origin in it is al-mana'. Everything is haram. Everything is haram in the affairs of worship until you have a text clearly to show that you can do it. Why? Because the affairs of ibadah is the most sacred of matters. They're most sacred matters. They are so sacred in which you'll find that Allah Ta'ala, the Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam, and you will find that Ahl Ilm, what they mention and say, how they are the most sacred of affairs. And those affairs have the most strenuous conditions. So the origin of the origin in all the affairs in worship, that everything is haram until you have a text to what? Authentic text to clearly show that you can do it. Otherwise, you cannot do any affair of worship unless you have a clear text saying or legislating you can do it. In order to protect the what? Protect the most sacred matter that every Muslim carries, which is belief system. That's the most sacred thing that you carry within yourself. So that's the reason why we said also fil ibadat al-mana'. All the affairs of worship, the origin in it is that everything is haram, everything is unlawful. Until there's a text saying that you can do it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? The origin of al-ibadat al-mana' wa tawaqquf. That is, everything is haram and everything is what? Everyone is supposed to abstain and not do anything until there's a clear text showing that you can do it. Other than that, or then one does not do it or perform any act of worship unless he knows clearly there's a text for it. Why? Because, like we said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, out of not only that coming on the day of resurrection, you'll find that Allah rejected your action, but you also committed an act that will necessitate Allah's anger, where you tried to draw close to Him by something He did not legislate, nor did His messenger legislate, which is something that is very dangerous. So imagine a person coming on the day of resurrection. You did all these different acts thinking that you're drawing close to Allah and that you're raising your level and your degree with Allah. And then coming on the day of resurrection and find what you did was totally what? Rejected. Allah didn't accept it. And we have too many texts to what? Establish this fact. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says clearly in His book, He says, عَامِلَةٌ نَاصِبَةٌ تَصْلَى نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ تُسْقَى مِنْ عَيْنٍ آنِيَةٍ. He said there will be people that are working hard and diligent, and they still will be burned in hell. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that clear. So Al-Ghashiyah says, عَامِلَةٌ نَاصِبَةٌ تَصْلَى نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ تُسْقَى مِنْ عَيْنٍ آنِيَةٍ. There will be people working very hard, meaning doing an abundance of worship, copious amounts of worship, an abundance of worship. And they will be burned in hell. And they will be given a drink from a boiling spring. Why? Why? They drew close to Allah by something that Allah did not what? Legislate. Or they committed polytheism, one of the two. But one of them is that what? They drew close to Allah by something He did not what? Legislate. What came as a result of it, not only did Allah reject their actions, but Allah Ta'ala also, as a punishment, put them in what? In the hellfire. So practice of innovations and innovative practices, brothers and sisters, is not something small. It's something major. It's something very major in the religion. So, and also Allah Ta'ala has made it clear in His books. He said, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءً مَنْثُورًا. He said, we will bring forth what they did of actions, and we will make it like scattered dust. We will bring forth what they've done of actions on the day of resurrection. All these actions that they claim that they did, they're so-called righteous or acceptable. And Allah Ta'ala says, clearly He will make it like scattered dust. Meaning no benefit. You did all this hard work, but however what? You did not fulfill the prerequisites that was supposed to be what? Fulfilled. Which is that supposed to be have ikhlas, supposed to be upon iman, it's supposed to be a belief in Allah and His Messenger, and also ikhlas, and also what? What's the third? It has to be in accordance with what Allah and His Messenger legislated. Other than that, action is unacceptable. Like we said, the dangers of these matters is that what? Not only will one find that his deeds are rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah protect us from that, but also likewise, you'll find on the day of resurrection, like we mentioned and said, also that could be a reason for one being punished in the hellfire. So just committing innovative practices is not something small, something major. And you'll find what the Salaf, how they used to condemn the circles in which people were practicing innovations, saying, if you go back to the book of Sharh al-Sunnah by Imam al-Barbahari, saying that Allah's la'na and His anger and His curse descends upon those type of sittings. So those practices of innovations are not things and affairs that are easy. Going to masajid, you see people making innovative dhikr and all these other affairs, you clearly find that the Salaf condemned them to the point where he said that these sittings have the curse of Allah falling upon them. So like we said, practice of innovations is not something small. It's tremendous. And one does his best to try to avoid it. Because he wants to come on the day of resurrection in the most best manner, where he faces Lord, and you'll find that his actions are acceptable with Allah, where he's fulfilled all the prerequisites. So that's what I'm saying, as we said in this particular mas'ala, if you look in your books, it says, you find that there are people out there that accept innovations. Get your hands out your pockets. What you guys got to get your hands out your pockets. Get your hands on. You got still cold? Your hands still cold? Here, pull it. Huh? All right. Fine. So I said in regards to innovations, you'll find, like we said, the shara'i', even though it's openly being practiced, of what appears to be good. But you'll find that in Kitaab, what Allah has legislated, rejects it. And also the messenger, reject it. We know the hadith of the Prophet, you guys already know the hadith of Aisha, من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. Another narration says, من عمل عمل ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد, as we know. Right, everyone? Everybody know the hadith. The Prophet said, hadith Aisha, I'm sure everyone knows the hadith. Both narrations said, من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. Whoever innovates in our affair of ours, and he will have that affair rejected. Whoever comes with a newly invented matter, introduces it into this affair of ours, meaning what has been legislated. And you try to introduce something new, what the Messenger of Allah clearly say, you'll have it rejected. There's another narration the Prophet said, whoever does an action that's not in accordance or agreement with this affair of ours, he will have it rejected. Right, everyone? So that clearly shows the evils of innovations, and also that person will earn a sin as a result of it. So it's not just the mere fact that a person has the act rejected and unacceptable by Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our actions and keep us firm upon Kitaab and Sunnah. But also, it is a sin for one that will be as a result of it that he will what? Fall in the hellfire. He could be punished as a result of it. That's the reason why the Messenger of Allah clearly mentioned, said that all of those who deviated from what was correct will enter the hellfire, and they will be what? Put in the side of the hellfire, as long as they are from the Ummatul Muhammadiyah, the proper nation of Muhammad who are the Muslims who have some type of deviation in their belief system, will be put in the hellfire. Would they be put in the hellfire forever? Ahl Ilm say no. As long as they're from the deviant sects that are still considered in the fold of Islam, they have to be purified. Because like we said, innovation or discrepancy in the belief system is a type of fisk, it's a type of sin. It can take you out the fold of religion, dependent on what type of deviance it is. Some deviance out there, as we know, will remove one from the fold of Islam. Some of it what? Doesn't. But those who are still in the fold, they still will have to enter the hellfire and be purified of the innovative practices or the type of discrepancies they had in their belief. They have to be purified of it. Then after they're purified, then they'll be brought out. But notice, what came as a result of them into the hellfire was what, everyone? Is that they had some type of discrepancy in their belief system, some type of deviation, and they was also practicing some type of innovative practice, whether it be in action or whether it be to the point where it affected their belief system. So all this is to show, Ya Ma'ishal Ikhwa, that a Muslim sets out diligently to make sure that his belief system is always intact. Because that's the most sacred thing you carry within yourself. The most sacred thing that you carry within yourself is Your belief system. The belief system is in the heart of the individual. You do what you can to protect this heart of yours, which contains in it your belief system. That's the most sacred thing you have. There's nothing more sacred than that. There's nothing more sacred than what? You protecting your heart and you protecting your belief system. The vessels, as Ibn al-Qayyim says, that goes down to the heart, he said the tunnels to what affects this, meaning what's of your heart and your belief system, is your eyes and your ears. Your eyes and your ears of what you see and what you hear, and what you hear disseminated of knowledge of what's said of words, goes right down here. Goes right down to this heart of yours. Either rectifying your belief system, if it's good that the individual is disseminating knowledge upon you, or if it's evil and poison, it will go right from in here and go right down there. You understand, everyone? That's why the Muslim is always what? Very cautious to who disseminates knowledge to him. Very cautious, because he knows that his ears, when he hears a knowledge, is going all the way to that morsel of flesh in his chest. And that's where your belief system is. And if that's the case, you're very careful who you choose as a person to disseminate knowledge to you, and who you put your ear to. You're very cautious, because you know in your mind the most sacred and most valuable thing that you carry within yourself is your what? It's the protection of your aqidah, which is places your heart. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Fine. Like we said, in regards to the natural disposition, rejecting some innovations, then that's clear, I think. Right? We said, right now, for a person who does have some foundation, or learned some foundation, for a person right now walking in the masjid, I'm sure all the Salafis here in this masjid see somebody in the back of the masjid rocking back and forth and being like this, hoo, 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 hoo. Except that everyone in the masjid right now would be like, what is wrong with you? You know you lost your mind? Just your mere natural disposition rejected what he was doing. Like, what is he, a clown? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? He lost his mind? Sitting here and he has a book in his hand, he's rocking back and forth. Hoo, hoo, ha. For a person you see doing that, just your natural disposition, you might not have to understand, or you might not have the text memorized, the evidence memorized, but you've seen and know that that's something that's suspect. And if that's not a person that doesn't find suspect, at the most you're going to say he's lost his mind. And at the least you're going to say is that something you're doing that's something that's whacked out. Something you're doing is totally out. That looks extremely strange. Just similar to that is what happened with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And also Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Where you find that they were making the dhikr and the stones. And what happened? That Abu Musa al-Ash'ari went back to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He said, I found something to be very strange. That when I seen it, that I found it to be what? Something that was totally what? Rejected. So he called Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, said, you look at it, because of course, you know, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari showed and displayed his reverence and respect and the status of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and brought him there until he seen it himself, where he clearly showed what they were practicing was something that was totally what? Something condemned and vilified, something that was ugly and wicked. But the point of the matter is, you'll find that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, just merely when he seen it, he knew it was what? Something that was suspect. Not only based upon knowledge, but also his natural disposition of him being from the companions of the Prophet, someone rejected what they were doing. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Play. Also, likewise, a person would say, what about the natural disposition and a certain belief? So it's not just in practices, but even belief. Like certain people that come to you now, even a person that has not been affected by any corruption or outside influences of this world, person comes to you, say Allah is everywhere. Just your natural disposition, you being able to be like, huh? Allah is everywhere. He's in everything. He's in feces, he's in the sewer, he's in you, he's in me, he's in the cat, he's in women, he's in the toilet. When you naturally hear that, your natural disposition as a human being is going to be like, huh? At least. Your natural disposition is going to reject it. So that's what the Sheikh is saying here. A lot of innovative practices, not only physically or statements or actions. Just like we talked about how some of the Sufis used to give the khutbahs naked on the minbar. Your natural disposition as a human being will reject that. Like, what is he crazy? He's giving khutbahs naked? This is that's why we call them goofy Sufis. You understand now? Because they do things that are extremely goofy, stupid. Something that even the natural disposition of a human being will reject it. Like, come on now, you want to stand on the minbar naked? You understand? So these are all different examples to show how, with the great Imam he mentioned here, how the legislations of Allah and His Messenger rejected, and even the natural disposition of human beings rejected. For those who have not been, of course, been tampered with, it's not been altered, it's not been changed, it's not been warped. But those who, their natural disposition is intact, especially if it's well-grounded in knowledge, it will reject it. Hearing that Allah is everywhere, and that Allah is in feces, and Allah is in every place, and Allah is in everything, and you're in Allah, your natural disposition will reject this. To say here now stories of how Sufis having sex with women and prostitutes and them giving a khutbah naked and having sex with animals in certain narrations you'll find. And all this other filthy nonsense. Your natural disposition is going to what? Reject it. Without any hesitation. So that's what he's saying, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhlas. This is what he's saying. And despite all that is the shirk that they commit. For a person now that learns the Tawheed of Allah, you'll find them making dua to the dead and dua to people and dua even to the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Knowing that what you know now and what you've learned to Tawheed, when you hear that, you're going to be like, Akhi, what are you talking about? This is absolute nonsense. I don't have all the text memorized, but I know based upon what's been taught to me, what you're teaching me, myself is repulsed. And is verily what? Is very disturbed by what you're saying. You understand, everyone? So that's what one of the meanings of what? Of the statement here. So the fifth you'll find, it says, if you look in the fifth masala, it says, Al-Khamis, second chance on your pockets. He said, أن سبب ذلك كله مزج الحق بالباطل. فالأول محبة الصالحين والثاني فعل أناس من أهل العلم. والدين شيئا أرادوا به خيرا. فظن من بعتهم أنهم أرادوا به غيره. He said the fifth is that the reason for that, all of it, he says you'll find that truth is mixed with falsehood. مزج الحق بالباطل. The truth has been mixed with what? Falsehood. He said, what's the first? What's the truth? No, he even says it. The truth is loving the righteous. Isn't loving the righteous something true? Something true? Isn't loving the righteous something true? Something true. That's something of truth. Look how the truth was utilized in order to what? For something of falsehood to be practiced. So it says, the first thing of truth, or the first affair of truth, is what? Loving the righteous. Loving the righteous is obligatory. Loving those who are upon Kitaab and Sunnah and love Allah and His Messenger, establish Tawheed and call to it and call to the Sunnah and calling to monotheism. One is they're considered righteous people. And those who warn from shirk and warn from polytheism and warn from innovation and call to being firm upon the Sunnah and steadfast upon the Sunnah, that's loving the righteous. Because those people who do that are what? Righteous people. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Those people are righteous. But however, notice how Shaitan utilized it to what? Utilize it as an avenue to what? To now make the people fall into something false and evil and wicked. Look what he says. So now you'll find what took place. Number one was loving the righteous. The third was what? Loving people. فعل أناس من أهل العلم والدين شيئا. So loving, of course. والثاني فعل أناس من أهل العلم. He says the actions of people who have knowledge and religion. Something they wanted good by it. They thought after that it would be something that's established of good. However, what led to was something that was also, or something that was other than good. So during that time of the people of Nuh, there were people who were people of knowledge. However, they started adopting things that were what? Something that was evil. Utilizing something of truth in order to incorporate in it something what? Wicked. So they wanted some good, and they thought after it that the people would what? Remain upon their good. However, the ultimate goal, what came as a result, or the results of that was what? Something evil. Something tremendous. You'll find that even Ibn Uthaymeen gives a good example of this. He says, you'll find that truth can be mixed with falsehood. And how shaitan can utilize this, and people of falsehood. He says, you'll find that the mahabbatul salihin, he said, loving the righteous was something generally good. He said, what happened was, صوروا تماثيلهم محبة لهم ورغبة في مشاهبة أشباحهم. He said, you'll find that the love of righteous led them to something of falsehood. He says, what they started making images, and they started making those statues, and they claimed that it was out of what? Out of love for them. And also having desire to see their what? Mushahadati ashbahihim. Ashbah means like a, I guess you want to say for more or less, ghost. In order to also see their what? See their ghost. We'll see how they've been long gone or something of, because a shabh in Arabic means like a ghost. But anyway, he says in order to also see their ghost. So you'll find that love of the righteous was something of the truth. As we talked about before, love and feelings always has to be restricted and controlled by the reins of Kitaab and Sunnah. It cannot just be based upon how you push your feelings to go towards. Because you'll find that emotions, as we said, are storms. If they have not been controlled by the reins of Kitaab and Sunnah. Your emotions could get you either in a world of trouble, and your emotions it could be certain instances something what? Truth or good you're embarking upon. But if it has not been restricted by Kitaab and Sunnah, then in a lot of cases you'll find that people's emotions take them down a road of destruction. Or at least it'll take them down a road of something regretful, that they regret. And they'll make a mistake that they will have to now carry for the rest of their lives. Or it could be a reason for their destruction of dying in an evil state, if one is not careful. You understand, everyone? And these type of events have taken place for many years in history, and of these days and times. And what we know individually as people. How many times we made a quick, hasty move based upon our emotions and based upon making a quick move, and we found that move was something that was very detrimental, not only to ourselves, but to our well-being, and sometimes, in certain cases, even our lives. You understand, everyone? So the point of the matter is that emotions, you always let the Kitab and the Sunnah control your emotions. You let the Kitab and the Sunnah be the thing that dominates and controls and puts, it's like not a restriction, like the horse that's wild, and the reins that's put on it is controlled. It keeps it under control. And that's the Kitab and Sunnah. The Kitab and Sunnah keeps the reins of your emotions straight. It keeps it under control. So it does not go outside or exceed the bounds. However, here in this instance, you'll find that the righteous, what they were committing here, keep your hands out your pocket for the fifth time. You'll find what happened with the righteous here. Their emotions, they did not let the Kitab and Sunnah put it in its right place. Until they came with something that was what? Something that was wicked. Something of falsehood. And they claimed it was all out of what? Out of love. And as you'll find a tremendous statement, a profound statement of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and everybody write this down, that you'll find that the people of falsehood, as they say, they'll come with statements that's called Kalimat al-Haq urida biha al-Batil, as we know. A statement of truth, but what's intended by it is falsehood. Even though these people here did not intend evil. So I want everyone to make that distinction. But there are people of falsehood that they say statements of truth, but you'll find what's intended by it is something false. However, these people here during the time of Nuh, they intended good. However, they did not embark upon something that was legislated. So it still was incorrect. And this is also a proof, brothers and sisters, to show that even though a person intends good, still does not mean that the act that they are doing is justified, is correct. Because you'll find that it also the actions that they did, even though they intended good, it was still condemned in Kitab and Sunnah. And Kitab and Sunnah did not look to their what? To their intention. Their intention is between them and Allah. You understand? However, upon us is to what? Either correct what they're doing or agree with what they're doing and also compliment them to continue in that righteous act if it's something that agrees with Kitaab and Sunnah. But the point of the matter is that if it's something that's evil, it's still considered something what? Condemned. And a person still advises the person, they still redirect the individual, and they still have to correct them. Even though they might intend something what? Good. Because you'll even find that even Ahl Ilm, that they mentioned, Shaykh Uthaymeen even said that. He said in the next, second part, he said that these people intended good. They intended good. However, it wasn't an affair and they didn't embark upon a path that was legislated. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? So even out of love for the righteous, they were saying a statement of truth. Also, their intention was good. However, they did something that was evil. When he started now bringing these images, and he started now building these type of structures in the form or in the image of those righteous in order to arouse desire of the people to see their ghost or what have you. And what came as a result of it later on, when the later generations came, then they fell into something that was what? Tremendous. So number one, you'll find that truth can be mixed with falsehood. Truth can be mixed with falsehood. Another example of that. How you'll find that the people who have knowledge of evil, people are evil, can always bring some type of truth and they can mix it with falsehood, even though you don't realize it. There's no person of falsehood, even though, like I said, we're excluding these people. Because we said that here, these people what? Intended what? Good. However, there are people out there that do intend evil. And they will always bring something of truth in order to decorate what they're saying, in order for the people to what? Accept it. Not realizing what's behind it, or it's been what is under it, or underneath it, is something of falsehood. What comes as a result of it, that the people will what? Accept it. There's nobody that intends evil, that's a caller of evil, except they're going to bring something of the truth. They're going to bring an ayah, they're going to bring a hadith, they're going to bring a statement of the Salaf, they're going to bring a statement of Ahl Ilm from the past, they're going to bring a statement from Imam Ahmed, they're going to bring statements from Imam Shafi'i, they're going to bring statements from Ishaq al-Rahuya or Ishaq al-Rahuwi, they're going to bring statements from Imam Malik, they're going to bring statements from Sufyan al-Thawri, they're going to bring statements from Sufyan al-Thawri, Abu Zar al-Razi, or Abu Hatim al-Razi, or Hamad ibn Salama, or the great Salaf. That's how they get the people accepted. They're going to come with something else. Especially these days and times. The people of evil are very, very what? Very conniving, and they are very embellished and decorated in their speech. They're going to bring something of Kitab and Sunnah so you can accept it. Otherwise, if they didn't bring something Kitab and Sunnah, you would what? Reject it. They're going to bring an ayah, they're going to bring a verse from Quran, they're going to bring a verse from the Sunnah. They're going to bring all these matters. Leave them, don't worry about it. They're going to bring all these matters, and as a result of it, like we said, you'll go astray. That's the reason why you'll find in a lot of cases that haqq can be mixed with what? Can be mixed with falsehood. In a lot of cases. So that's the reason why you'll find that he mentioned and said this. He says you'll find masjid al-haqq bil-batil. So the first thing was loving the people of the righteous. The second was the what? The actions of the people from Ahl Ilm, the people of knowledge and the people of religion. They brought something in which they intended by it good. He said they intended by it good in order for the people now to be more active and devoted diligently in worship. However, what came after them was something other than good. Rather, it was something wicked, evil. However, they wanted to what? They wanted to strengthen the religion by something innovative. For verily, as a result of it, the harm of it was more what? More tremendous and greater than its what? Than its good or its benefit. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So that's what we mean by what? Mixing truth with falsehood. And he gave the example if you look in your book. Read it, Camden. The fifth matter. Well, raise the voice. Raise it. Don't worry. I'll have them on point soon. I know exactly what I'm doing. It's called patience. patience. I know exactly what I'm doing with you guys. Tafadhal. Go ahead. Their minds are memorizing this, trust me. Their minds of their age, even though they might be tired, but as it goes down the line, eventually, instinctively, they're going to have this memorized. Watch. I know what I'm doing. Tafadhal. I've been doing this now for about 25 years. I have a lot of experience. Tafadhal. Yeah, you heard him? Love of the righteous. Right now, even. Wallahi al-azim. Right now. SubhanAllah, even though they said this right here, what does this remind you of, brothers and sisters? The Sufis. All the Sufis fall into shirk. They'll all say exactly what's said here. The love of the righteous. Why you worship Abdul Qadir Jilani? You don't love the righteous? When you hear that statement out of their mouths, that's why you'll find that the Sufis hate Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab so much. They all have so much enmity and hatred, more you'll find than Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab. And Sheikh al-Islam Taymiyyah too, of course, and all the others. But you'll find him specifically, whoa. Why? Because he talks about here in this chapter that you see, right here, brothers and sisters, clearly says that they fell into polytheism as something wicked and evil, even though they intended good, because they what? Because out of love for what? The righteous. Same exact thing from the past is the same thing that's taking place now. You'll find that no person that's upon any tariqah, Sufiya, except that they say the exact same thing. Why do you worship so-and-so from the dead? Why do you worship the aqtab? Why do you worship the nuqaba and the nujabat? Why do you worship the aqtab and the nuqaba and the nujabat and all these other people who are alive from so-called mawlas, that they call them mawlas or mawalis or mawla, so-and-so, mawla, sheikh, so-and-so. Why do you worship these people? Why do you direct your worship? Yahi, you don't love the righteous? Huh? You don't love the righteous? You understand, everyone? Love of righteous now does not necessitate that you do an act that is what? That's not legislated. By trying to utilize some statement, but what's intended by it is what? Falsehood, which is love of the righteous. And in some cases, they're not even righteous. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Like we said, Ahmed Badawi wasn't considered someone else righteous. Ibn Arabi is not considered someone righteous. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Ahmed Badawi, like we said, he was Sufi, Shi'i, Shadili, Sufi. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Ahmed Badawi, Ibn Arabi al-Ta'i, even certain people, Ibn Farid, some of the Sufis that they glorify and look for, say that they so-called know where his grave is. Ibn Farid, who's also from the heads in the greatest, they call him, after Ibn Arabi, Ibn Farid is considered a Sheikh al-Akbar, the greatest Sheikh. The greatest Sheikh, the Sufis say. You got Ibn Arabi, al-Ta'i, al-Hatimi, and then you have after that is Ibn Farid. Ibn Farid, bid-dad. Ibn Farid. Also, they call these people a Sheikh al-Akbar. And you'll find that they worship their graves. And these not even considered people of righteousness. So like we said, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, not only in the past this was utilized, but you find the same trick, or Shaitan utilizes the same trick today. Same thing with the Christians. You gave the same example. With the Christians, the same exact thing. What do the Christians say? Yahi, you can't worship Jesus, the son of Mary. Yahi, you don't love Jesus? It's the love of the righteous. We have love for him. Yahi, that don't mean you worship him. You understand? Just because you have a love for an individual don't mean you worship him. You understand? There's other ways to show reverence in a manner that suits his status of what Allah has given him without exceeding the bounds. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Rather, you don't find that people that worship Jesus, in actuality, you're belittling him. You understand? There's no one that properly loves Jesus other than Ahlul Sunnah and the Salafis and the people of Islam. They are the ones that truly love Isa ibn Maryam. You understand, everyone? Our love for Jesus, son of Mary, is better than the love of the Christians. Because ours is in its proper what? Its proper place. You understand, everyone? طيب. So those are these is to show what in the Masail, as it says, and I'm going to read even Ibn Uthaymeen mentions, that was the first one. It says, he said the same thing we just mentioned. He says, مَحَبَّةُ الصَّالِحِينَ وَلِهَذَا صَوَّرُوا تَمَاثِيلَهُمْ مَحَبَّةً لَهُمْ وَرَغْبَةً فِي مُشَاهَدَةِ أَشْبَاحِهِمْ. He says, the love of the righteous, where you'll find that they started making images and putting it in these statues, or these sculpture statues, and making images of them out of love for them. Then he mentioned and said that Ahl Ilm, in the religion at that time, they intended by good. He says, why? Because they wanted to utilize this as a way for people to be more active in worship. That was their intent. Their intent was for it to be an incentive or encouragement for the people now to embark in doing more what? Worship. However, what came after that, even though they intended this good intent, but the whole, like we said, the whole reason, when not only will you have to intend good, brothers and sisters, we know that you also have to make sure the act has been what? Legislated. So it's not the fact that you just intend good. The outward act has to also be correct. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? So that's what we said. We do not go back based upon these everyone. These wicked statements that say, oh, Yahi, you don't know what's in his heart. You don't know what he intended. Yahi, what we intended isn't that fair to the unseen? I don't know what's in anyone's heart. Nor is Allah Ta'ala and the Messenger give us the burden or the duty to look inside people's hearts. It's impossible. First of all, the heart is an affair of the unseen. That's why Allah only gave us the duty to what? Just the people's actions that are done what? Outwardly, no more, no less. Is it clear? That's the reason why there's been legislated punishments. Because it's not the punishments and things of the different punishments that have been legislated as far as for the ruler, due to the fact that it's not looking at the person's intention. It's looking at the person whether or not he did an act that was what? Correct and agreed with Kitaab and Sunnah, or something that was what? An act of evil or wickedness, which came as a result of it, a consequence. There's nobody right now, even a person of that, his own household that he runs, somebody kill your mother or kill your children and say, don't punish him, you don't know what he intended. Anybody going to accept that? Absolutely not. It's nonsense. You don't know what he intended, Akhi. So anybody, when they come to this nonsense, they talk about some, Akhi, you don't know what Ali Jifri intended when he said that you can make dua to the Messenger of Allah. Akhi, what he's calling to is worse than killing and murder and killing innocent children and murdering innocent people. What he's calling to is something that is absolutely the most despicable, filthiest sin that any human being could commit. And he's condoning it and calling to it. And you're going to really sit here and say, oh, you don't know what he intended. Right now, let's go on a lesser level of sin. Someone killed your mother right now, jumped on your mother. You see him stabbing her and stabbing her up. And you said, and I said to you, Akhi, wait. You don't know what he intended. How would you look at me? Akhi, I don't care what he intended. Man, he's still going to be what? At the end of the day, what? Punished. He's going to get what's coming to him. As far as between him and what he intended, that's between what? Him and who? Him and his Lord. Is it clear? Is it not clear? It's clear. Everything that Ahl Sunnah mentions is clear. Makes sense. Nobody's going to accept that. Somebody come in and rob your house. You don't know what he intended. Huh? Someone come in there, they take you, kidnap your children. Yahi, you can't say nothing. You don't know what the man intended. What did he intended? His time is for him and his Lord. He's still going to get what? His consequences. He's going to get his due punishment. You understand, everyone? Is it clear? That's the reason why we said we do not look at the intentions. The intentions is between Allah and the individual. The outward affair is what we based upon the people, what was commanded to what? Commanded to judge. Absolutely. To judge. Pearson would say, don't judge me. First of all, I didn't judge you. Allah and his messenger did. What you're doing is an act that's haram, and I'm going to say it. Understand? So that's what we said. Even the great Imam mentions the great example. Alhamdulillah, gave an example of what we just mentioned. He said, مثال ذلك أولئك الذين يغلون في الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ويجعلون له الموالد هم يريدون بذلك خيرا لكن أرادوا خيرا بهذه البدعة فصار ضررها أكثر من نفعها. He said the exact thing I just said. لأنها تعطي الإنسان نشاطا غير مشروع في وقت معين ثم يعقبه فتور غير مشروع في بقية العام. Example of that. Said those who go to the extremes in the message of, in regards to the message of Allah. He says they will make and give him a birthday. Practices of his birthday. Don't they intend by good? You ask a lot of the Muslims who do that. Oh, we only want good. Right or wrong? He says, however, they want good, but they want good by something that's not what? Legislated. They want good by something what? Innovative. You know what I'm saying, Caden? So you'll find that the harm of it was greater than his what? Benefit. Because now he says it gives the individual, the person, some activity. Now listen to this part. He says, great Imam. He says it gives a person the shout. Gives him activity within himself. Or some type of activeness, where he's active now. He says in something that's not legislated. So he starts to become productive, starts to become active, starts to become diligent, and an act that's not what? Legislated. Where that work and that hard work, or that diligency, or that active, or that devotion, or that the productivity, if you want to say, for lack of better words, could have been put in the act as what? Legislated. So now a person being productive at a specific time, he said then what comes as a result of it, he says what will follow up after that is the person now will be lacking. A lackness of what? He said, يَعْقِبُهُ فُتُورٌ غَيْرُ مَشْرُوعٍ فِي بَقِيَّةِ الْعَامِ. Now, once he celebrates the Prophet's birthday, he said now it will be some type of what? You start to become neglectful and start to lack. Some lackadaisicalness that's not been legislated for the whole rest of the year. And for that reason, you'll find, he said, that the majority of people that go to extremes in these bid'ah, he says you'll find that they are very lax in affairs that are legislated. He said they are lax in affairs that are legislated, that are clearly legislated, where they don't have that same diligence and desire to perform those acts. Rather, you'll find them embark upon acts that are what? That aren't legislated, that aren't. Where all that activity could have been utilized for what? For what has been legislated. He said, and that is to what? To show the effects of innovations upon the people. That's why you'll find that the Salaf used to say, there's not a person that brings about a newly invented matter, except that he puts by it the death of a sunnah. I'll say it again. You'll find that the Salaf, and I'll forget this statement to you guys later. There's not a person that innovates an affair or brings a newly invented matter, and the people practice it, except they put by a death of a particular sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. What do they mean by that? Meaning that the people embark upon a what? An innovative practice, and they leave off something of a well-established what? Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Because there's so much affairs that have been legislated that a person could be practicing, and you're wasting your time, what? Doing something that's totally considered a waste of time at the end of the day. That's the meaning of the Salaf, where they used to say these statements. It's not a person that innovates a practice of theirs, except you'll find by that innovative practice, they put death, a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That's one of the reasons why innovations are what? Considered what? Very evil and major. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear? Probably will stop here. You guys figure out how I have so much energy today. I told you I'd give you the secret later. Play. Can't wait till you guys. I get you guys. One day I will. Like I said, I won't give you my diet. My diet is torture. Play. Any questions about the class? Oh, last thing. Last thing I said, brothers and sisters. Another evil thing of the bid'ah, and I'll end it off here. I'm going to read this again. You'll find that the punishment of Allah descended upon the people because of innovative practices. And what came as a result of it, societies were wiped out as a result of it. A lot of people think, oh, but that shows those callers who are out there that goes to those masajid. You'll find that those callers, they'll say, you know, we go to these people, they're not upon innovation. So you'll find that they do practice affairs that are innovative, either in their belief system or openly practicing innovations. One of the two, right? So you're saying, oh, it's not that big of a deal. All right, then take this then. I want you to consider this. I'll read what Shaykh al-Islam and Ibn al-Qayyim said. That how bid'ah is a reason why Allah's punishment descends upon a people. And if you don't get rid of it, or there's somebody that speaks out against it, or somebody that tries to at least reprimand it and condemning it openly and saying it like those guys don't, those callers of evil, you don't find that anyone who condemns it except the what? True Salafis, who not saying it with the words, but the people that are what? Truly embarking upon it. They're the ones that condemned it, that condemn it. Why? Because they know the seriousness of this matter. That a punishment of Allah can descend upon a society and eradicate it and decimate it and bring it up and have it uprooted until there's nothing left of it. As a result of one, practicing innovations. And not only of practicing it in these statements, we're talking about something worse of innovations, meaning it's affected their belief system. What's the delay? I told the brothers last class. Look to what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, Majmu' al-Fatawa, 13th volume, 170 page, 177. This is what he said. وهذا الجعد إليه ينسب مروان بن محمد الجعدي آخر خلفاء بني أمية وكان شؤمه عاد عليه حتى زالت الدولة فإنه إذا ظهرت البدع التي تخالف دين الرسل انتقم الله ممن خالف الرسل وانتصر لهم. Allahu Akbar. Profound statement. Statement of gold. Rahimahullah, rahmatu waziyah. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said in Majmu' al-Fatawi, or you could call it Majmu' al-Fatawa, that he said in the 13th chapter, or 13th volume, 177, that this was Ja'd. As we know, Ja'd ibn Dirham is the founder of the Jahmiyyah. Before Jahm ibn Safwan. Ja'd ibn Dirham. He says who the Khalifa at that time, his name was Marwan ibn Muhammad. Marwan ibn Muhammad, and he was called Al-Ja'di. Why? He was ascribed to him due to the fact that he was what? Practicing what he was calling to. He was the last of the successors of the great caliphate of the past, and we know the great two that were what? Either the Abyssinian Caliphate, Abbasiyya, or Bani Umayyah, the Umayyad. They were the two great powers of the Muslims at the time. And he said, now listen, he said that his evil had came upon him until his whole country was what? Was removed. Zalat ad-Dawla, he said the whole country was gone, removed. Listen to what he said. He said, because when innovations manifested, this is what Shaykh al-Islam said, innovation started manifesting and appearing, and it opposes the deen of the prophets and messengers, Allah will take retribution from those who oppose the messengers, and He will grant victory to them. That's tremendous. So you see that the reason the practice of innovation is what? Caused the whole kingdom to fall. If it's adopted. This is what Ibn al-Qayyim goes on to say in the great book called Sawa'iq al-Mursala. He says, at the head, وَعِلَى رَأْسِهِ الْجَعْدِ صَلَبَ اللَّهُ بَنِي أُمَيَّةَ وَالْخِلَافَةَ وَشَتَّتَهُمْ فِي الْبِلَادِ وَمَزَّقَهُمْ كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ بِبَرَكَةِ شَيْخِ الْمُعَطَّلَةِ النُّفَاةِ. As he said, at the head of those of people of Bid'ah was Ja'd ibn Dirham. The first person who came with the innovative practice and the belief that Allah is now above the heavens. Right? Listen to what he said. As a result of the people adopting that way or that belief, he said, Allah snatched from Bani Umayyah their kingdom and their caliphate. He said He took it away. Caused their whole country and their kingdom to fall. So Allah snatched it away. He said, Salaballahu Bani Umayyah al-Mulk wal-Khilafa. He snatched away from Bani Umayyah their kingdom and the caliphate or their successorship, and Allah destroyed them until He made them to be separated and divided and spread out in the lands. And He destroyed them and eradicated them a total, absolute eradication. He says, by the so-called blessing of the what? Of the sheikh, of the heads of all of the ones who negate the characteristics and names of Allah Ta'ala, which ja'at bil ibtida'. So is bid'ah something that's not that bad? Oh, it's just, yahi, you got to realize it's not that bad. Yahi, realizing that countries were destroyed as a result of these matters, and lands were removed. The Salafis don't want that to happen. That's why we speak out against it. And as long as there are people, inshallah, that speak out against it, then we hope that will be a reason why Allah's punishment doesn't descend upon the people. So we should be happy that the Salafis are what? The people of the truth have come out and they speak against this. Because it could be, very well, that's the reason why Allah's punishment hasn't fully eradicated everyone yet. Because there is remnants of the people of Tawheed and Sunnah who are speaking out against these matters. Can you imagine that once they're gone? Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Jay, stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Any question about the lesson?